Hello, welcome back to Kim Reads as we continue with Pride and Prejudice. Chapter 22, Lady Catherine's Threats. About a week after Bingley's engagement to Jane had been announced, the Bennet family received an unexpected visitor. The carriage pulled up and the door was thrown open. It was Lady Catherine de Borough. She entered with an ungracious air and sat down without saying a word. Elizabeth mentioned her name to her mother when she entered, though no formal introduction took place. "I hope you are well, Miss Bennet," sniffed her ladyship. Elizabeth replied that she was. Mrs. Bennet, with great politeness, asked her ladyship would care for some refreshment. Lady Catherine refused, but stood and asked, "Miss Bennet, would you care to take a walk with me?" And Elizabeth agreed, and the two began strolling through the grounds of Longbourn. "You must know why I've come," began her ladyship. Elizabeth looked astonished. "I do not." "Miss Bennet, an alarming report has reached me. Your own heart, your conscience, must tell you why I've come." "I have no idea, ma'am." "Don't trifle with me. I was told you just 2 days ago that not only was your sister on the point of entering into an advantageous marriage, but that you, Miss Elizabeth Bennet, would soon marry my nephew, Mr. Darcy. I know this must be a scandalous falsehood, so I insist you must deny this report at once." "I haven't heard of any report," replied Elizabeth. "Can you declare that there is no foundation for it?" Lady Catherine demanded. "I do not pretend to possess the same open ways as your ladyship. You may ask all the questions you like, but I may choose not to answer," Elizabeth declared. "This is outrageous, Miss Bennet," she cried. "Has my nephew proposed to you? I am entitled to know all his important concerns. But you are not entitled to know mine," Elizabeth couldn't help answering. "Be clear. This match can never take place. Mr. Darcy is engaged to my daughter," her ladyship exclaimed. "Now, what do you have to say for yourself?" "Only this. If what you say is so, then why do you ask if he has made an offer to me?" "This engagement is of a peculiar kind. My sister, his mother, and I arranged it in infancy. While in their cradles, we planned this union. Now, at the moment when the wishes of both sisters would be fulfilled by marriage, you try to prevent it. I won't have my wishes stymied by a woman of inferior birth, with no family of importance in this world." "What is that to me? You and his mother may have planned the marriage, but whether it takes place depends on others. It is up to Mr. Darcy to choose his wife. If Mr. Darcy is neither by honor or inclination interested in marrying his cousin, why is he not free to make another choice? If he chooses me, why can't I accept him?" Elizabeth asked. "Because honor and decorum forbid it. You will be despised by everyone connected with him. He will lose his friends. Your alliance will be a disgrace." "These are heavy misfortunes," agreed Elizabeth. "But the wife of Mr. Darcy will have such an extraordinary source of happiness that, on balance, she will have no regret." "Headstrong girl, I am ashamed of you. Is this your gratitude towards me after the attention I showered on you last spring?" "Am I not in the habit of being disappointed?" bellowed her ladyship. "That is unfortunate for you, but it has no effect on me," Elizabeth said gently. "Let me make myself clear. My daughter and my nephew are meant for each other. They are descended on the same noble line on the maternal side. On the father's, they are an ancient, though untitled family. Their fortune on both sides is splendid." "In marrying your nephew, I don't think I am endangering anyone," Elizabeth insisted. "He is a gentleman, and I am a gentleman's daughter. In that we are equal." "True, you are a gentleman's daughter, but who is your mother? Who are your aunt and uncles?" "Whatever my connections are," said Elizabeth, "if your nephew does not object to them, then why should you? Tell me once and for all, are you engaged to him?" "I am not." Lady Catherine seemed pleased. "Will you promise me to never enter such an engagement?" "I will make no such promise," cried Elizabeth heartily. "I will not be intimidated by you. Even if I refuse him, that doesn't mean he will marry your daughter. Your arguments, your ladyship, are ill-judged and frivolous." "I have one more thing to say," her ladyship nearly screamed with rage. "I know all about your sister's elopement. Is such a girl to be married to my nephew's sister? Is her husband, the son of the late father's butler, to be his brother? Heaven forbid! Are the shades of Henley to be so polluted? You have insulted me in every way. I must return home, Elizabeth exclaimed. This is your final resolve? You have no regard for the honor of my nephew? Do you not realize that a connection with you will disgrace him in the eyes of society? She paused. Are you resolved to have him? I am only resolved to act in a manner which will make me happy, regardless of your feelings, Elizabeth said. You are determined to ruin him in the eyes of the world, Lady Catherine claimed. No principle of duty or honor would be violated by marriage to Mr. Darcy. Do not imagine, Miss Bennet, that your ambition will never ever be gratified. I am here hoping to find you reasonably, but rest assured I will not stop until I put an end to such an outrage, said her ladyship, hastily departing in search of her carriage. Elizabeth was struck by the heated conversation, and she soon learned that Lady Catherine had made the journey from Rosings solely to break off her possible engagement to Mr. Darcy. How would he feel about such interference? Would he agree with her? Or would he remain true to his heart? And was his heart still Elizabeth's own? Her own heart was full of doubts. If he doesn't return to Netherfield shortly to visit Bingley, I will know all is lost. Elizabeth's thoughts were interrupted by her father, who asked to see her in the library. He told her that Mr. Collins had written him a letter. What could he have said? He asked, as color rose to her cheeks. He writes that you will soon be the wife of, in his words, one of the most illustrious personages of the land. Can you guess who meant by this, Lizzie? It's Mr. Darcy, and Collins warns that Lady Catherine de Borough does not view the match with a friendly eye. Mr. Darcy, who never looks at anyone without seeing a blemish, and probably who had never looked at you in his life. It's too funny. Elizabeth tried to join her father in amusement, but could only force a reluctant smile. Never in the past had his wit been so directly pointed at her. Collins goes on to tell me that it's his duty to warn us that it is unwise for us to rush into a union that is not properly sanctioned. Ha! What an odious man. There's more. Listen to what he has written. I am truly glad that Lydia's sad business has been hushed up. I am only concerned that their living together before marriage took place should be so generally known. I must not neglect the duties of my station to say that. I am amazed that you receive the young couple into your house as soon as they are married. You are an encouraging vice. You must forgive them as a Christian, but you should never admit them in your sight or allow their names to be mentioned in your hearing. That's his notion of Christian forgiveness, Lizzie. I must say, as much as I hate the hypocrisy of Wickham, Collins is in a class by himself. I cannot wait to write back. Mr. Bennet reread the letter with a smile of amusement. How silly he is, Lizzie. Mr. Darcy is indifferent to you. You dislike him immensely. It is absurd. Delightfully absurd. Elizabeth only smiled. How could she tell her father her true feelings? Or how much had changed since they had first met Darcy? Thinking it all over, she sat with Mr. Collins' silly letter in her hand. She could scarcely believe herself. Yet Darcy had told her and shown her in so many ways that he did love her, and her own heart told her that she loved him too. And that's the end of that chapter. See you later.